It's hard to be told that your career is over when you don't think you did anything wrong.
Controversy and the fight game go hand in hand. And for today's video, we're going to take a look at 10 more moments that have, for better or worse, gone down in MMA history. As always, if you guys enjoy the video, please be sure to let us know by giving it a like and hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. Now, without further ado, and ranked in no particular order, here are 10 more controversial UFC moments. Greasegate. Georges St-Pierre is, to this day, still seen as one of the greatest fighters of all time. Where guys like John Jones and Anderson Silva have had issues with anti-doping agencies, GSP has a seemingly clean and untarnished record. However, if you ask his fellow legend BJ Penn, there was something truly fishy going on in their legendary rematch at 170 pounds. GSP would go on to dominate the fight before earning a fourth-round stoppage. But according to Team Penn, the welterweight king had applied some form of grease, which appeared to be Vaseline to his upper body, in order to negate the deadly guard skills of BJ Penn from the bottom.
It's an old school MMA tactic. If you're a Muay Thai guy and you're going against a Jiu-Jitsu guy in an MMA fight, grease up. Hard to submit when it's super greasy.
Penn insisted that GSP was extremely difficult to catch a hold of during their fight, something that made the prospect of looking to set up submission attempts or sweeps way harder than it should have been.
Mr. Penn is world renowned for his techniques of Jiu-Jitsu, submission, so on and so forth. He had no grip. He had no ability to grip. Mr. Pierre was able to slip in and out of his guard.
I still want my fair fight, man. I didn't get my fair fight. I want my fair shot.
Was this a legitimate case of cheating by St. Pierre, or is BJ simply looking for ways to deal with this crushing defeat? We'll let you guys be the judge of that.
I didn't know what happened because I wasn't in the fight, so when you're in a fight, you don't realize what happened. There is a technique that we use, it's for breathing. I used it before against Fitch and a lot of guys. Even in my locker room when I have a t-shirt on, they do it. I think it's just sad, you know what I mean? And I think BJ Penn, if you want to be a better fighter, he should have focused on things that he has the power to change.
Stoolgate. Another truly memorable controversy in the octagon came courtesy of the great Yoel Romero.
In your UFC career, you had one very controversial fight with Tim Kennedy.
Back at UFC 178, Yoel Romero was having a very tough night at the office in there with Tim Kennedy, taking some serious damage while nearly getting finished at the end of the second round. So, what happened? Well, in between rounds, Romero was given additional time to sit on a stool, thanks to some questionable tactics from his corner, and because the UFC cutman had put too much Vaseline over his left eye.
What are they doing? He's still sitting on the stool. This is ridiculous.
This resulted in Yoel Romero getting plenty of extra time to recover, which allowed him to finish Kennedy in the opening minute of round 3. A massively controversial moment.
Hey, if you can't get off the stool, you can't get off the stool. That's the end of the fight.
That was a giant issue. It was a 30-second issue for a guy who was really wobbled at the end of the second round.
It was a bummer, but it was the perfect storm.
I don't know what happened. The UFC, something or somebody, I don't know, give me that Vaseline. It's too much. I say, so sorry, but it's not for me. No, it's not my fault.
To be fair to him and his cornermen, it was our guy who globbed all that Vaseline on his eye. But I saw the guys from the commission. He was screaming, "Get the hell out of here." I don't care what language you speak. You know what "get the hell out of here" means. You know what time you're supposed to be out of the octagon. You know how much time you had. Really weird situation. Extremely controversial.
Do you think the extra time with wiping the Vaseline and all the stuff that went on, do you think that helped you recover more quickly?
Maybe. I don't know.
Although, to be fair, Tim Kennedy could also be seen grabbing Romero's glove in the closing seconds of round 2, so no one's hands are totally clean in this one. Khabib's retirement fight. Khabib Nurmagomedov retired from the sport of MMA with a clean, unbeaten 29-0 record, finally ascending to the status of champion in his final years, and completing a trio of huge victories, finishing Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, and Justin Gaethje. But ahead of his retirement fight with Gaethje, something very strange happened. Khabib, who has a history of bad weight cuts, appeared nervous on the scales, almost as if he expected something to go wrong. And when the official reading came, the final number was seemingly taken before the scales had ample time to set correctly.
Watch Khabib, up, wipes it on an upward trajectory. He's heavy here. Guys, this is incorrect. That is wrong.
A scale going this direction is bad news. A scale going this direction means you've done what you were contracted to do. So the scale was moving, and it was moving up, which would be a fail.
The result came in as a clean 155 pounds, and the fight went ahead. But there were many fans who thought that this was a little suspicious, to say the least.
Меня 3 раза взвесили, пока я на взвешивание шел. По-моему, телосложению вы можете понять, что я там не 90 вешу, а 70 килограмм. Это люди, знаете, как всегда, когда человек достигает какого-то определенного успеха, есть критики определенные. Им же надо за что-то зацепиться. И они вот ищут.
Rousey's no-show. Sure, media duties are tedious.
Give me the microphone. You know what? I'm done.
But they're also a mandatory part of any fighter's responsibilities leading into an event. But when Ronda Rousey finally lost her belt in stunning fashion to Holly Holm, her eventual comeback at UFC 207 saw her refuse to do any media whatsoever heading into her fight with Amanda Nunes. In fact, she didn't so much as speak into a microphone once during that entire build-up.
This is the way she wanted it. The only thing she cares about right now is focusing on winning. This is what she wanted, so I gave it to her.
I don't care about anything except for winning this fight, and I'm not spending energy on anything else.
We've done too much media and a lot of work, so we decided just to stay away and focus on the fight.
This is very unique. It's never been done before where the headliner doesn't have to go to the media day. Does this tell you that, oh, you know, she's afraid to talk to the media, she's hiding something, she's not in the right mind space?
Honestly, I don't know what is wrong with her. I think this is an easy thing to do. All the media want to talk to her because she's been out for so long and never talked to nobody. I really don't know what is going on with her head right now.
It was clear that Rousey's ability to handle a defeat was not there, and fighters and fans alike questioned why she should get an exemption from media obligations when everyone else had to do it. But as it turned out, Ronda's attitude foreshadowed what was about to follow. Once the fight kicked off, Amanda Nunes ran through Ronda Rousey in less than a minute, and to this day, Rousey barely talks about her time in MMA.
Have you been able to, do you think about the last couple fights? Do you think about what happened, or have you processed it all? The last fight against Amanda or Holly?
I think I'd just rather not talk about that right now.
Signing CM Punk. CM Punk is a pretty huge figure in the world of sports entertainment. And when he announced to the world that he would be making a transition to MMA, it was hard not to admire him. We assumed that Punk would spend some time training and learning the ropes before eventually taking some fights on the regional scene against fighters at a similar level. All in all, that sounded like an admirable pursuit. But as soon as Dana White and the UFC heard of this, they signed CM Punk to a contract, throwing a boatload of money at him to appear on UFC 203, facing off against the far more experienced Mickey Gall.
I love to fight that man, CM Punk.
I'm going to give it 100%, and I just don't let anybody tell me that I cannot do something, because I believe in myself and I know I can. I respect everybody who's ever stepped foot in the cage, and before I'm done here, everybody will respect me as well.
And the fight went pretty much as expected, with Mickey Gall running through CM Punk to earn a first-round submission.
I lost, and it sucks, and it was lopsided, and it's upsetting, but I know I'm better than that.
Having your first fight in the UFC is tough. It's a tough place to learn.
Unfortunately, his follow-up fight with Mike Jackson wasn't much better. CM Punk in the UFC seemed like a blatant cash grab and remains one of the more controversial signings in the company's history.
He's a very nice guy and he's a hard worker, but he does not have athletic talent.
We gave him 2 shots, and yeah, I think you should call it a wrap.
You're hanging it up as far as MMA goes?
I don't know. Okay. I'll never say never. I doubt I'll fight in the UFC again.
Right. The baddest man on the planet. The manner in which Francis Ngannou left the UFC was a truly ridiculous saga. Dana White is supposed to be a promoter, but he seemingly did everything in his power to try and sabotage Ngannou's name, his brand, and if you believe the former heavyweight champion himself, his performance in the cage.
They're gonna be saying a lot of things to bash me, to devalue me.
This guy's ego just was so out of control. He's absolutely impossible to deal with. He'll never be in the UFC again. Francis wants to take 0 risks. Doesn't want to take any chances. And he obviously didn't want to take a chance against John Jones.
Sounds very ridiculous. The only thing that I'm scared of is to be trapped.
According to Francis Ngannou, just hours before he was set to defend his title against Cyril Gane, Ngannou's manager received an email from the UFC threatening to sue him for meeting with Jake Paul's business partner.
Going into this fight, they told me that they just received an email from the UFC, said they're gonna sue him from talking with Nikisa, somebody from Jake Paul team.
Nikisa Bedarian, who's Jake Paul's business partner.
Yeah.
The former CFO.
Boxing.
About boxing?
Yeah.
This, of course, seemed like a blatant attempt to rattle Ngannou. Unfortunately for the UFC, it didn't work, and Francis won the fight in dominant fashion, eventually leaving the UFC as one of the biggest free agents of all time.
We're going to release him from his contract, and he can go wherever he wants and do whatever he wants.
And we're going to find out who is the baddest
on the planet.
He then went on to compete against and nearly beat the great Tyson Fury in a boxing match, while also earning the biggest payday of his career. Safe to say, Ngannou had the last laugh here.
Where is your head at in terms of, are you a boxer or a mixed martial artist?
Combination. I can do both. Nothing stops me from doing both. If I have the skill for both of them, why not?
Helwani out. At UFC 199, something very peculiar happened when the veteran MMA reporter Ariel Helwani was ejected from the premises rather abruptly. So, why did this happen? Well, Helwani heard news that the UFC were bringing back the former heavyweight champion Brock Lesnar for a UFC 200 matchup, and that they were planning to reveal this during the UFC 200 broadcast.
I was hearing rumblings about Brock Lesnar, that Brock Lesnar was close to signing a deal, or he was close to finalizing a deal to return at UFC 200.
This was massive news because everyone thought Brock had retired from MMA and that he was under contract with WWE.
Ariel, again, being a journalist, caught wind of this and reported the news on MMA Fighting. So, when Dana heard of this, he immediately had him ejected from the venue and hit him with a lifetime ban from the sport.
Right before the main event, a member of the UFC PR staff came to me and said that Dana White wants to speak to you. He just says to me, "You're out. You're done. We don't want you here anymore. Go to Bellator."
Dana was standing there. He was visibly upset and he said, "Get out of here. Your credentials are gone. You're not welcome here ever again."
If I knew it was going to end like this, I maybe would have done things differently. It's hard to be told that your career is over when you don't think you did anything wrong.
This was a journalist simply doing his job, and the entire MMA world quickly revolted. Ariel was eventually reinstated, but this was further proof of Dana's iron-fisted rule over the sports media.
It was dirty. He knows it was dirty, and he threw a big pity party for himself, crying on camera and just ridiculous. So it is what it is.
Unfortunately, Ariel Helwani and Dana White's relationship never recovered from this, and even today, the tension between the two is as obvious as ever.
I don't give a what Ariel Helwani thinks.
Fair enough.
Who the is Ariel Helwani? He's a massive sack of He's one of the slimiest, scummiest mother that you will ever come across.
Chimaev's UFC 279 disaster. Khamzat Chimaev's rise has been one hell of a spectacle. And for a while, he seemed like he could do no wrong in the eyes of his fans. Or at least that was the case up until UFC 279. Set to take on Nate Diaz in what was seen as a lamb being led to the slaughter, Khamzat Chimaev somehow messed up his weight cut badly, coming in 7.5 pounds over the welterweight limit.
178.5.
Not that bad.
This is the biggest moment of his career, and you missed by 8 pounds.
How do you miss by 8 pounds?
What happened? How could you be 8 pounds overweight?
What was your reaction when Khamzat missed weight?
Scared. I was scared.
So what happened was he was cutting weight. He started locking up and cramping and all the things that happen from a bad cut. We send a doctor up and the doctor determines whether he should keep cutting weight or not. And the doctor told him he shouldn't.
All Chimaev had to do was show up on weight. But even as he was met with a chorus of boos for his actions, he decided to turn full villain and flip the bird to the crowd.
Hey, there's a judge in Shut it up, guys!
Who knows what actually happened in Chimaev's camp, but he lost the Nate fight for it, taking on Kevin Holland instead. Nate would get a far better matchup against the great Tony Ferguson, earning a 4th-round submission to end his contract on a win. But Khamzat Chimaev definitely lost some fans on that day, and in truth, it'll take a major effort to get some of them back.
You heard the reaction tonight. The fans were not happy with you.
You came into this fight far overweight. What was that all about?
I don't care about that, bro. I killed that guy. You care about that? I don't care.
You talked to Khamzat, find out what went wrong with his weight cut, and did you think anything of him? Like, he wasn't very sorry. He was joking about it online. Is that like? It's obviously not very good, right?
Yeah. I mean, what should I talk to him about? You should be sorry. Get smaller. I mean, it is what it is.
George St. Pierre versus Johnny Hendricks. There have been a lot of questionable scorecards over the years, but one that truly sticks out in the memory came back at UFC 167, when Johnny Big Rig Hendricks took on the welterweight champion George St. Pierre. And while Hendricks was clearly doing more in terms of damage, the judges felt that GSP had done just enough to win 3 of the 5 rounds. So they awarded him a close split decision victory. And to say that this was a controversial decision would be a massive understatement.
You and I were both surprised, as were a lot of people that I've talked to at the decision.
I just beat the pound for pound, supposedly best fighter in the world. I thought I smashed him the first 4 rounds.
Johnny Hendricks busted George up. He took him down. He had him badly hurt and stunned.
My hands are busted up from hitting him in the face.
I absolutely won this fight, and some people took it away from me.
In fact, all 16 MMA media outlets scored the fight in favor of Hendricks. Even UFC President Dana White made it clear that he thought Big Rig should have gotten his hand raised.
Did you see George get smashed and hurt in the first round? It's about damage. I'm blown away that George St. Pierre won that fight. And listen, I'm a promoter. He's the biggest pay-per-view star on the planet for me, and I still don't think he won that fight. I want what's fair, and that wasn't fair. And I guarantee if you did a poll, I mean, not many people think George St. Pierre won that fight.
Sure, Johnny Hendricks eventually won the welterweight title, but his loss to GSP is a result that is still debated to this day.
I thought I won 3 rounds. People can say whatever they want. It's up to the judges. Like it, hey, love it, and that's me at my best. I give everything. That's all I can say.
Colby's big moment. All it takes is one big moment to become a superstar. And for Colby Covington, his breakout win over Demian Maia was enough in itself to prove that he was ready for a top-level test. But his post-fight interview might just be the most explosive in UFC history.
I should have knocked him out! Brazil, you're a dog! All you filthy animals suck!
This went down just as well as you might think. And as Covington was escorted out of the arena, he was pelted with several objects. Pretty much anything the crowd members could get their hands on.
Obviously the crowd reacted, and we did, see as you walked out, they kind of pelted you with beer and whatever else. Do you walk back anything you said?
No, I don't walk back anything I said because, I don't think I said anything that offensive.
All week, the fans are saying all these just stupid insults and remarks that they weren't needed,
They like to dish out, all this energy and say these mean things like, you vai morrer, which we know means you will die.
I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to give it back to them. I'm going to play a part of this show.
I just said Brazil is a dump. And they're acting like animals. What's wrong with that? I don't see what's wrong with that. It's just a game. We're just having fun. Don't take it too personal. Don't take it too serious. Nothing but respect, Brazil.
Sure, it was a crude moment and an undeniable controversy for the company, but it certainly set Colby up as a villain of the sport. And to this day, it's a role that he inhabits better than almost anyone else.
That's what saved my career, and that was the turning point in my career, and the rest has been history.
As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let us know by giving it a like and hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.